Hey guys, welcome back to another online lesson. This time we are going to talk about decimals and fractions with lesson 2.1. Have your note sheet ready. First thing, words to know. A rational number. Any number that can be written as a fraction. So if you can write the number as a fraction, it is in fact a rational number. Some examples are the plain old number 2, because you can write it as 2 over 1. Decimal point 5 is 1/2. You can write it as a fraction. Those are rational numbers. An example of a non-rational number, you may have seen this before, is pi, where it's 3.1415, and it goes on and on and on and on forever and ever and ever. That can't be written as a fraction because, well, we wouldn't know what the numerator would be. So, pi, not rational number, but if it can be written as a fraction, it's rational, and we're going to be dealing with rational numbers with this lesson. So, this is something we should be very familiar with. It is decimal place value. Of course, we know to the left are my whole numbers. These are my parts or my decimals. And we really need to get the terminology down for tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, and so on. So if you're not real familiar with that, you're going to need to review this on your own. I have posters up in the classroom, and also I know in your planner it has a decimal place value chart. So for our sakes, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000, 100,000, millions, awesome. But we're going to focus on the decimal side. Tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s. You've probably heard this way back in second grade maybe about the decimal place value. We're going to rely on this a lot, so have this handy. Okay, here's our first task. We're going to take these rational numbers and we're going to turn these decimals into fractions. So let's check it out. Write each decimal as a fraction in simplest form. So we're going to do each decimal as a fraction, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put it in simplest form. So let's give it a shot. So here I have 0 and 6/10. Notice the position that it's in. It's in the tenths place. That is my furthest decimal. So I know we're going to put it over 10. Well, what is it? It's 6/10. Notice 6/10, 6/10. Just as you read it as a decimal is how you'd read it as a fraction. So we did it as a fraction, but now we got to do it in simplest form. So I look and I say, what number can go into both of these? And of course, they both are divisible by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay, I'm at 3/5. I don't think I can go any further. And in fact, I can't. Those are both prime numbers. Can't divide any further. So we are done. We've turned 6/10, and what is it as a fraction in simplest form? It is 3/5. Let me show you another example. I have 28 hundredths. Now, hear me as I said that. 28 hundredths. So therefore, my furthest decimal place is in fact in the hundredths place. So we're going to put it over 100, and it is 28 over 100. Perfect. Excellent. We have it as a fraction, however, we don't have it in simplest form. Now, you see 28 over 100. Right now I know some of you are thinking, okay, what's the biggest number that can fit into both? And that's awesome thinking, and I want you to think that way. But if your brain works like my brain, and you're trying to think 28 and 100 and you just can't think, my suggestion is, see if they're both divisible by 2. And if they are, you can keep dividing down further and further and further. So, let's look. Are they both divisible by 2? In fact, they are. How do I know? Because they're both even numbers. Remember, even numbers are divisible by 2. So let's divide 28 divided by 2, 20, and 100 divided by 2. Perfect. 28 divided by 2 is 14, and 100 divided by 2 is 50. Okay. Hopefully right now you're looking and saying, but wait a minute, Mr. Cohen, those are both even numbers. Aren't they divisible by 2? In fact, yes, they are. So we can divide again. So let's see. If we divide by 2, divide by 2, 14 divided by 2 is 7, 50 divided by 2 is 25. So I have 7 25ths. Now, awesome. That's as far as we can go, because no number can go into 7 or 25 evenly, which is great. That's one way to do it. Some of you right up here probably said, Mr. Cohen, I knew right away that 4 went into both, and that will be awesome. Then you divide both by 4, you'd skip this step, and you just go right to 7/25ths. Awesome. So that's how you do decimals to fractions. Now let's do it the other way. Let's do fractions to decimals. Okay. All right, so here I have 3/5, and I just don't like the way it came out on the computer or on your note sheet, so I'm just going to rewrite it as 3/5, with 3 being my numerator, 5 my denominator. Okay. Write fractions and mixed numbers as decimals. So, how can I turn 3/5 into a decimal? Well, let me show you how. So here I have 3/5. What I'm going to do is take my numerator, and I'm going to put my numerator inside the house, 3. My denominator is going to stay outside the house, perfect. And I'm actually going to rewrite it over here, just so I have a little bit more room. Perfect. One way to remember this is just keep the 5 on the outside of the house and bring the 3 inside. You can set it up like that, and that's okay. But I'm just going to do it off to the side so we have a little bit more room. Now, 5 can't go into 3 evenly, so we are going to have to put a decimal point and annex a 0. And we'll extend that out a little bit. Okay. And if I put the decimal there, first step, bring it right up so you don't forget. 3 now goes into 30 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. We're going to subtract. We are at 0, which is awesome. So now we know that 3/5 is equal to 6/10. Perfect. Let's try another one. So here I have 14/25. And again, we're going to do just what we did before. The numerator is going to go on the inside. Denominator's on the outside. And you're probably looking saying, wow, 25 can't go into 14, not evenly. So we're going to put a decimal. And wherever you put your decimal, immediately bring it right up. Perfect. So now, 25 can't go into 1, it can't go into 14, but it can go into 140. And in fact, how many times? The most it can go in is 5 times, sorry. And 5 times 25 is 125. Subtract. 4 becomes a 3. That's a 10. So that's a 5. And that's a 1. Perfect. So we check. It's lower. We're good. Let's annex a 0. Drop it. Boom. So now how many times does 25 go into 150? Of course, the answer is 6. 6 times 25 is 150. Subtract, and we are golden. So now, my decimal place, 14/25, that is equal to 56/100. I'm going to ask that when you do these, go at least 4 decimal places if you have to. Don't keep going to 5 and 6 decimal places. In this case, it stopped at 2, so we're good. But if I had to keep going, I'd only go 2 more places and then stop. So let's try this one. And I'm going to erase just so I have a little bit more room to work. So I have 7 seconds. Improper fraction. I bet it turns into a mixed number. But let's see. So 7 will go on the inside. 2 on the outside. 2 goes into 7 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. We're going to subtract. We get 1. Okay. Put my decimal. Bring up my decimal. Annex a 0. Drop it. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. And I know I'm probably writing off the screen, but just trust me. I got it. 0. Perfect. So now we are at 7 seconds is equal to 3 and a half, or 3 5/10. So when you are doing fractions to decimal, just put the numerator inside the house the denominator outside the house, and then divide. I do have some for you to try on your own. So with these, your first box, I just want you to turn these into a fraction in simplest form. If you don't remember how to do it, go back and watch 2 slides ago and I showed you. This one here, what I want you to do is write each fraction as a decimal. So this is 1/20th, so the numerator is going to be 1, denominator is going to be 20th. This one down here, 12 is my numerator, 75 is my denominator. Try your best, good luck, and we'll see you in class.